KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson, celebrating 25 years of commitment to Guam, Micronesia, and the CNMI. Cars Plus Hyundai, home of the Kona electric vehicle, an electric heart with an SUV soul. Test drive yours today at Cars Plus. McDonald's of Guam, I'm Loving It, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Straight ahead, police asked for the community's help in the search for a 26-year-old man reported missing. GPD also investigating an attempted kidnapping in Agana Heights. And the president of the Guam Visitors Bureau says he's fed up. Find out why right here, right now on Primetime. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to KUAM News Primetime. Guahusi Isaiah Uggan, and thanks for tuning into your news leader. He's been missing since November of 2020, and family is asking for the community's assistance in finding their loved one, 26-year-old Manuel Enriquez Santos, also known as Manny. Santos was last seen in Pacific Gardens in Dededo. He is described as being 5'8" in height, 120 pounds, with a medium complexion. The Guam Police Department is seeking any information regarding Santos' disappearance. Should you have any information, you are urged to call GPD's Criminal Investigation Section at 671-475-8473. An attempted kidnapping occurred on Thursday evening around 4:30 in Agana Heights on Francisco Javier Avenue, GPD spokesperson Berlin Sevilla.
Where a female minor was jogging and was faced with a man unknown to her who used force in attempts to take her into his vehicle. The victim managed to get away from the suspect to seek help. However, the suspect attempted a second time to get the victim into his vehicle. She was able to escape from her attacker.
The unknown man is described to be between the ages of 30 to 40, dark complexion, short hair with facial sideburns, tall and slim build, was seen wearing a white shirt and black shorts and driving a white Toyota truck with tinted windows and a rusty chrome bumper. The Guam Police Department is asking the community to call 671-475-8615-7 if you witness or know anything in regards to this investigation. Jurors were given their instructions Friday in the murder trial against Rudy Kanata, and closing arguments will follow Monday. Former Humatic Mayor Daniel Sanchez was found dead with 23 stab wounds in Kanata's home last April. Kanata is the second person on trial for his death. His girlfriend, Joyner Scott Sked, was convicted for murder in February. In efforts to combat family violence and sexual assault, a new program aiding to victims is now on island. KUAM's Hannah Devonzo has this report.
Family violence is a continuous issue on Guam. The Guam Police Department's Domestic Assault Response Team reported that in 2020, there were over 1,000 victims. In efforts to combat the rise in cases, Guam is taking on a plan of action called the Lethality Assessment Program. The launch comes from a collaboration between the Office of the Attorney General, the Guam Police Department's Domestic Assault Response Team, the Guam Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Family Violence, and victim advocates reaching out. Guam Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Family Violence Executive Director Cynthia Cabot.
So with the lethality assessment program, oftentimes in those cases, these are women, for the most part, who are in a situation where they are often battered and often abused, and then they are seeking assistance.
LAP provides officers with a standardized checklist to follow when responding to matters of family violence or sexual assault.
You're asking very personal questions of these victims. Have they ever tried to kill you? Have they ever threatened to kill you? Or your children? Have they ever threatened to kill themselves?
If a person answers yes to any of those, they are deemed a high-risk victim, and at the end of the questions, an officer will immediately connect them to support and safety planning services. Hannah Devonzo for KUAM News.
Things got heated during Thursday's Guam Visitors Bureau's board meeting at issue. Conflicts of interest and violations of the open government law. KUAM's Jonah Gonçalves has more.
The gloves came off during Thursday's GVB regular board meeting. It all started with Board Chair Milton Morinaga addressing the members before getting into the agenda.
It is evident that over the past few days, there have been a number of unwarranted and unsubstantiated comments an accusation aimed at this board.
Morinaga referring to GVB President and CEO Carl Gutierrez's questioning of those on the board representing the hotels and airlines and possible underlying motives. Gutierrez says that he has a fiduciary responsibility to the people of Guam and not the board.
And as I've been here for almost 2 years now, I've witnessed blatant abuse of the open government law, the ethical violations that I see all the time. And I'm not just saying this because we have records. And I have to take this out to the public that you cannot come in here as an airline owner or a hotel owner and vote on incentives that go to this hotel or that airline and not recuse yourself.
Gutierrez then called out certain board members, accusing them of violating the open government law.
You people meet in secret to determine the outcome of what's going to go on a board meeting, and we have those information.
The former governor making it clear.
If you want to get rid of me and Jerry, you can make that motion and do it. But I am not going to shirk my responsibility to allow the people of Guam's millions of tax dollars to be dictated by people that have special interests.
Board Treasurer Sam Shinahara responded that Gutierrez appeared to be on the defensive for actions of the board. He also clarified that the board has never handled any specific incentives for an airline. Gutierrez accused certain board members of ganging up on him to determine the outcome of meetings, saying, quote, "I'm fed up with it," end quote. The meeting concluded after 2 hours. Reporting for KUAM News, I'm Jonagan Charfris.
Parishioners of Agat won't have to travel to another village for Mass. Come this Saturday, Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Church will reopen their doors to the island's faithful. KUAM's Tyler Matanani has the story.
On Tuesday evening, a parish volunteer was doing a routine check on Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church when they discovered a large portion of the sanctuary floor caved in, collapsing the marble altar and ultimately creating a hazard. Several scheduled funerals had to be redirected to other districts, and the mayor's office, along with the parish center and governor's office, immediately began scrambling to find a solution. Thanks to Duenas Camacho and Associates, Inc., who performed an in-kind damage assessment, the church got the green light to reopen their doors. Archdiocese of Agana Director of Communications, Tony Diaz.
We're real grateful to everyone. I know the people of Agat, the parishioners of Agat, are glad to be going back to the regular church.
The damage, thankfully, is confined to the altar area. In the meantime, the sanctuary will be walled off and a temporary makeshift altar will be placed in the meantime.
It's just a temporary modification, but the Mass, the celebration of Jesus Christ, will go on in their own church.
When the church was constructed after World War II, it was made primarily from EFIT wood. Diaz says that during the renovation, it appears that someone filled the EFIT in the congregation area with concrete, but failed to do the same for the altar.
There was still a gap underneath. And so over time and a number of things, that would explain why it started to diminish.
But the repair may not be happening anytime soon. The church is currently in bankruptcy, and as Diaz says, it's not something that will happen overnight.
Our finances have to always be reviewed and we need permission. But the celebration of Mass continues there. The church continues to pray, have faith in God, and we move on, no matter how difficult things might be.
Over in the CNMI, Governor Ralph Torres says he will make a decision in the next week on whether or not to fire his personal legal counsel, Viola Alapidzu. Last week, Senator Carl King Narbers confirmed that Alapidzu edited and reviewed the Senate impeachment trial rules. However, it was before she was officially hired by the governor. There's been growing public outcry in the aftermath of that revelation. King Narbers last week requested that Torres withdraw her as counsel. The Senate impeachment trial is expected to begin soon.
It's been long overdue, and I can't wait to get this proceeding on the road rolling and get it over with.
Meanwhile, Democrats and independents in both the House and Senate, and even Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios, calls into question the integrity of the entire impeachment process. Senate President Jude Hofschneider, who will preside over the trial, says it will move forward without delay. Back here at home, senators today discussing a bill that would allow students from Guam to avail of the Western Interstate Commission on Higher Education's Professional Student Exchange Program. The bill aims to allow local students to pursue degrees in healthcare with the aid of the WICHE Partner School System, which includes institutions in 16 states and territories, partner schools for healthcare education. The Guam Community College would administer the program. The bill seeks to use $78,000 from a Department of Interior grant for GCC to run the program, and eligible private healthcare facilities would also be able to sponsor students into the program. According to the WICHE PSEP website, the student exchange program can help students realize anywhere from a $34,000 to $130,000 in savings for the duration of medical schooling. On to news from the Guam legislature. Senators Selo Taitagui and Joanne Brown have introduced Bill 282, calling for even more transparency from the administration related to monthly reporting of spending of American Rescue Plan and infrastructure investments and Job Act funds.
Unfortunately, it's not enough information to give us guidance, especially as we're going into the budget bill to determine which department or agency is receiving this funding.
So it was back to the drawing board for senators as Bill 282 mandates itemized reporting of funds expended, which Senator Joanne Brown said is a lot more than the legislature is getting right now.
There should be an expectation, as we do when we do appropriations in the Guam legislature and do the legislative budget. There should be a breakdown of how that money is being spent. I mean, all we're getting pretty much is a list of government agencies and the amount of money they've spent, but we don't know specifically what they may have spent that money on.
Speaker Therese Salahi and Senators Tony Ada, Frank Blas Jr., and Sabina Perez are also co-sponsors of Bill 282. If you are eligible and haven't done so, there's still time to apply for the revived Program Salapi program. The Department of Administration has received almost $13,000 of applications. The program provides qualified households with a one-time $300 payment to be used for gas for other needs. DOA Deputy Director Bernie Guinness.
We are anticipating making the first payment. Hopefully about 1,000 payments, 1,000 households will be receiving a payment, hopefully by the end of this month.
The deadline to apply is April 15th. You can apply online at doa.guam.gov or at their offices in the ITC building in Tamuning. North Korea launched an intercontinental ballistic missile Thursday evening. The long-range missile landed over 100 miles off Japan's coast. It drew a strong rebuke from U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. The United States remains prepared to defend the U.S. homeland and our allies. The U.S. commitment to the defense of the Republic of Korea and Japan remains ironclad. U.S. Indo-PACOM said in a statement they are keeping a close eye on the situation. Meanwhile, in a separate statement, Guam Homeland Security Advisor Samantha Brennan assures the public that there was no indication that the reported launch posed an immediate threat to Guam or the Northern Marianas. And still to come on your news leader, we head to vaccination clinic where people are lining up to combat COVID. These stories and more coming up next on KUAM News.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
It's beautiful.
It is, right, baby?
Dad, isn't that where we usually stop for gas?
It's where we used to stop, but not anymore.
But isn't that the place with the milkshakes?
Okay, all right, let's go.
Good job, kids.
Take your adventure further in the first ever Santa Fe Hybrid.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa, you can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
Half a day. Gas prices continue to rise and we are here to help. We have revised Program Salapi to provide a $300 direct cash assistance payment to most households. We've expanded income eligibility so more families will benefit.
We've heard your struggles and we hope this relief will help during these difficult times. The Department of Administration will begin accepting applications on Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. For more information, visit doa.guam.gov.
This ad is paid for by the Office of the Governor using government funds.
Let us know what's up on our KUAM News WhatsApp tip line at 671-727-0094. Share information about what's happening in your town, on Guam or the Sinamai, and what you want us to know. Reach us on WhatsApp at 671-727-0094.
Welcome back to your news leader. The USS Springfield is now calling Guam home. The fast attack submarine arrived at Naval Base Guam from Hawaii as part of the Navy strategy in the Pacific. 150 sailors and crew are aboard. In a news release, the U.S. Pacific Fleet says that the submarine allows for rapid responses involving America's strongest striking power. Commander Joint Region Marianas Rear Admiral Benjamin Nicholson says, quote, home porting this frontline submarine here increases mission capabilities based in Guam and reaffirms our commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific region. USS Springfield was commissioned in 1986. The port has drafted legislation ready to send over to the legislature to amend local laws to allow funding caps to be removed in order for them to proceed with projects that are part of their modernization program. A resolution was approved giving General Manager Roy Respicio the authority to get the job done.
Governor knows about this. She's very supportive of this. She even said to us that we're not asking the senators to appropriate any money from the general fund, that this is just an administrative mechanism to revise the statute so that we are not going to be in violation of any local law.
There are two laws that are blocking the port from moving forward that need to be amended. The port is also working with GIDA. In other port news, the port board also passed a resolution to pay a former port police officer more than $208,000 in back wages, reinstate sick leave hours and annual leave hours owed, attorney's fees, and to remit retirement fund benefits owed. In 2013, Eddie Castro was a port police lieutenant when he was fired for using an official vehicle to visit his girlfriend and falsifying his time cards while spending hours at her house. The case went before the Civil Service Commission and even before the Superior Court, which upheld the termination. However, last year, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Castro. In December of 2021, the Port Board then adopted a resolution giving the general manager the authority to enter a stipulated judgment resolving the litigation, which ultimately led to the $208,000 in payments. In Decision 2022 news, the Guam Election Commission is one step closer to getting the money it needs to hold this year's election. The GEC several weeks ago wrote a letter to their oversight chair, Senator Joe San Augustine, requesting supplemental funding. The Democrat lawmaker this week introduced legislation to do just that. Bill 281 would appropriate $609,000 to the GEC to conduct this year's primary election and early in-office voting. The primary is scheduled for August 27th. About $70,000 in back payment is owed to JJ Global Services for maintaining most Guam Department of Education schools and a pair of facilities. Here's how GDOE is addressing the situation. JJ Global Services wants the Guam Department of Education to show them the money, $70,000 to be exact, for their services. Frank Cooper Nurse is acting GDOE Deputy Superintendent of Finance and Administrative Services.
Currently, there is outstanding payments owed to them. We're working currently to process an additional $13,000, and we have an outstanding balance of about $70,000 for services rendered or services to date for the school grass cutting services. We're looking at about $60,000 that we're trying to work with the vendor to make sure that those invoices are submitted to our school administrators, validated that the services have been provided, and that information is given to our business office for timely payment and processing.
GDOE last paid JJ on February 17th of this year for the amount of $23,000. About $13,700 is pending confirmation for payment.
We're looking at validation for payments of about $13,000, and then we're in the process of going through the supporting documentations and the appropriate sign-offs at the school level for the remaining balance.
JJ signed a contract with GDOE of $288,000 for maintenance services, which began in June of last year. The agreement of services includes grass cutting, sidewalks, curbs, driveways, parking lots, buildings for 35 public schools, and 2 warehouse facilities.
As the vendor performs the grass cutting service at the school, it requires our school administrators or the designee to sign off on what's called a CSSR report, which is a customer satisfaction survey report. That accompanies their invoice, gets processed through our facilities and maintenance, and then gets processed in our accounts payable.
Gouverneur shared how GDOE is addressing the situation moving forward, which includes weekly meetings and discussions with JJ.
We're working with our school administrators to ensure that any service provided at the school that was done in accordance with the contract requirements, that gets signed off, approved, and processed for payment.
The contract is through September 30th of this year.
From the high transmission category to the moderate category, according to Public Interim Chief Medical Officer Dr. Bob Leon Guerrero, that's where the island currently stands in terms of new cases per 100,000 population over the past 7 days, but it doesn't mean we're in the clear.
We're in the moderate, but that still means there's risk. And even if we hit the low risk, what does that mean? There's still a risk. Okay, so that's the issue, and especially for people like me, over 60, with health issues.
Going back to last week's data drop, the island is seeing less than 100 COVID cases per day. COVID testing is now at less than 1,000 a day, along with a drop in test positivity now being below 20%. Public Health still urges residents to continue practicing the 3 W's and mask wearing. And in his final segment of the Pandemic at Work series, KUAM's Tomas Maglotnia reports on how workers and industry leaders are bridging gaps when it comes to surviving across the region.
The pandemic has been at work. Demands of the economy supplied with unprecedented challenges posed by COVID-19. The professional trades is no exception.
There are 50,000 displaced workers due to the pandemic. A lot of them are still scared of the virus or the adverse effects of going to work and bringing it home. So as we progress past it or learn to live with it, and as the conditions or the spread calms down, I do believe we're able to pull workers from industries that they might not have seen any actual career aspirations in.
But that fear is still fueled by the unknown variants that may come. Concerns grow while businesses try to stay afloat. Businesses like All Pro Solutions kept their engines running.
I don't want anyone else to get sick, and it'll just be a domino effect, chain effect. Everybody's gonna get sick, and then we definitely have to shut down again, which is just bad for business.
COVID fatigue, a symptom of the perseverance of what many have been through, especially in the restaurant industry.
It's tiring to make sure we keep up with it, but it's also rewarding at the end of the day.
The exhaustion forced industries across the region to adapt and rethink their strategy.
A way that there's a lot of silver linings and a lot of good things that are starting to play, and I think it's because of the pandemic has allowed us to say, you know what, we really need to start facing the issues at hand. Let's not keep kicking the can down the road.
This is the Pandemic at Work. Tomas Maglotnia for KUAM News.
Stay tuned. Up next, Dave Delgado with your local sports roundup, and Jason Solis with his series Transforming Lives, Advancing Communities. Keep it here.
Guam is truly a majestic place with its sheer natural beauty, wealth of beaches, and culturally rich landscape. Unfortunately, Guam has a real problem with unwanted invasive species. Help us in preventing their introduction and spread. The coconut rhinoceros beetle, the little fire ant, the African snail, Siam weed. These are just a few of the numerous invasives on Guam. Follow proper custom procedures when bringing plants and animals into Guam.
Help protect Guam. Tell your family and friends about invasive species.
To report invasive species, call 475-PEST.
Honey, do you want some milk?
Do you ever wonder how your favorite products make their way into your local stores?
Most arrive on state-of-the-art Matson vessels that transport containers of food, household items, equipment, and supplies into the islands every week. Because we know that you depend on us, we work closely with our partners to ensure that our shipments arrive on time, all the time, so you can find your favorite products when you need them. We transport the region's most precious cargo that supports successful businesses and promotes a better quality of life for our families. Matson is proud to have been the hometown shipping carrier for Guam, the CNMI, and Micronesia for the past 25 years, and you can count on us to be here for generations to come.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific, better together.
The FSM Basketball Federation is seeking players to represent Team FSM in the upcoming FIBA Micronesian Cup qualifiers to be held in June. Any men's or women's players looking to play must submit an FSM passport and must not have represented any other country in a FIBA league to be eligible. Those interested can email a copy of their passport and birth certificate along with the headshot to fsmbasketballguam@gmail.com. Prospective players can also submit documents along with the working Guam contact number to the FSM Consulate Office in Harmon. Deadline to submit documents is April 1st. Tournament dates for the qualifiers is June 8th through the 11th. For more info, email fsmbasketballguam@gmail.com. It's Friday, so you know what that means. Time to get some buckets. Triton men's basketball player Matt Santos hustles to save the ball from going out. Santos throws it up as he was falling out of bounds and banks it in for the crazy bucket. KFC Bombers' Jaden Finley almost gets the ball stolen, regains possession and pulls up from the corner. He hit for a team-high 22 points. MVP stars Darren Hetchinova put up 19. Hetch slicing through the defenders to get to the rim for the layup. Joe Bloss and JP Cruz showing teamwork to get the bucket. JP waits for Joe to cut back towards the basket for 2 of his game-high 37 points. Don't forget to send us your best shots. DM our KUAM News on Instagram or hit me up at sho@kuam.com. Guam's Dylan Kittigwa made his way through the village of Inarahan late this afternoon. As part of his 100-mile perimeter run around the island, Kittigwa is looking to complete the Mariana's first 100-mile ultra marathon.
So we're heading into mile 31 now of our 100-mile run. Just finishing up the southern loop. We're gonna meet in a canyon about 50 miles, and it's going pretty well. It's been pretty hot.
Spirits are high.
Spirits are high right now. Yeah, but man, we're like kind of suffering in the heat a little bit. But once the sun goes down, we have about 60 more miles to go, finishing about 5 a.m. tomorrow.
Turning over to some baseball news, make sure to come out and catch the 76 Pony Middle School Baseball Championship game between the Estumbo Dragons and FB Leon Guerrero Hawks at 1 in the afternoon tomorrow at the Ukadu Field.
KUAM Sports is brought to you by Docomo Pacific, better together.
Unified Communications, UC, is the next step in a business phone system. Introducing Docomo Pacific UC, your business phone. Instant messaging, video, voicemail, fax, and more. All unified on one platform and delivered through the cloud. Merge your desk phone with your mobile device. Turn voice calls into video conference. UC reduces phone costs. UC boosts productivity. Work better together with Docomo Pacific UC.
Mobile offers a new and convenient way to fuel your vehicle. Pay gas and go. No need to line up inside the store. Press preset. Enter whole dollar amount without decimals. Press loyalty ID and enter your mobile number or insert Smiles card. Insert and remove payment card or tap contactless credit card. Begin fueling. And don't forget to grab your receipt. Pay gas and go. It's that easy.
I'm stuck in this, infinite time loop thing.
I'm reliving the same day over and over again. I get to do whatever I want.
Plus, Taco Bell's nacho fries never leave the menu.
She's violating the Nacho Fries limited timeline.
Does that happen every day? Let's dip.
Fry her now!
What's happening?
Let's get spicy!
Look out!
Welcome back to Primetime. Despite the challenges of the ongoing global COVID-19 pandemic, the celebration of Mesh Tomorrow continues among Guam schools. Today we stopped by Onsalon Middle School and you could feel the Inafamalik spirit as the home of the Wildcats continues celebrating the Chamorro culture and heritage through food and music. UMS in Barragata invited local musicians Luis Borja and our very own KUAM's King Conception to perform a few classic Chamorro hits such as Ikatura Ta by Joycelyn Toves and Itsumodu by Flora Baza-Kwan. UMS also prepared some of our favorite local dishes and treats we'd usually see at family gatherings, parties, and festivities such as empanada, lumpia, tinagtat, kadampika, ahu, and just to name a few. And for the first time in its rich history spanning 7 decades, the University of Guam is extending its traditional Charter Day to Charter Month. Because let's face it, a single day isn't enough to contain the contributions EOG has made to not only Guam but throughout the region in academics, training, and research. Here is KUAM's Jason Salas with a look at transforming lives, advancing communities.
There are so many other possibilities, and pretty much any business on island could make use of one of our grads. It's that much that we need science in what we do.
That's a bold statement from a confident academic, backed by supporting evidence with a successful track record gathered over decades in a program that continually evolves to meet society's needs. And for Dr. Kate Moots, that's precisely the point.
Collecting real data, asking good questions, and then thinking critically about what you've just learned. Those are huge, and that combined with technology, which is another part of the sciences, are lifetime skills and things that we should all be continuing to grow with.
The CNAS curriculum exposes young Tritons to entire worlds of new possibilities across a broad spectrum of career paths.
The opportunities on Guam are so much greater, actually, than the U.S. mainland. Whether we're talking land or sea, there are tremendous opportunities to ask questions about sustainable agriculture, about how does climate change affect our coral reefs, how will tsunamis or volcanic events affect our islands.
These skills are fundamental to unlocking the secrets of the universe and challenging the limits of human understanding. To Dr. Moots, the term science project carries a distinct meaning with limitless value.
Now what we look at is most science is done as team science. And that isn't just at a university, that's actually in industry as well. And so what we see is pretty much any avenue we go forward, we need those scientists.
Not just for UOG's Charter Day, but around the calendar. Dr. Moots is happy to talk with great passion to anyone about the applications of being able to effectively experiment, analyze, measure, interpret, and share. This truly sets her college's approach apart.
To have first-rate mathematicians, to have an improved computer science program, to have chemists, those are enormously helpful, well, for even things like we're busy trying to set up a forensics lab.
So ask yourself, are you ready to take up the challenge of solving hard problems, disproving prior understanding, and breaking new ground? If so, UOG is waiting for you.
The possibilities are really just a question of how much can you imagine? So that's where we're headed. Viva UOG! Viva CNAS!
Before we wrap up the show, here's birthday shoutouts with KUAM's Jason Salas again.
Fridays are your days if today is your birthday. So happy birthday to Arya Ray Matabusan Martin. Happy 3rd birthday blessing, Princess. Love Mommy, Daddy, Ama, G Papa, Nunu, and the entire family. Also, happy birthday to Alexa Bella Rose. Happy birthday, Alexa. Please enjoy your special day. Another princess coming to us. Love your family, who's very, very proud of you. And belated birthday wishes going out to Keanu Sage, who celebrates birthday number 4 this year. Nanu, we wish you the very best birthday ever, and your family says we love you and we miss you plenty.
You can be a part of our Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club by checking out KUAM.com. And that's going to do it for us here on... and it's that time of the week where we announce the lucky winner of a Cold Stone Creamery cake.
Our birthday winner this week is Joseph David Goliath, who was born on March the 19th. We are going to reach out to you to let you and your family know how you guys can pick up your Cold Stone Creamery ice cream cake. It is an absolutely awesome gift that we're happy to give to you, Joseph, on your extended birthday. So congratulations and happy birthday once again.
And that's going to do it for us here on Primetime Tonight. Guahusi Isaiah. Again, thank you for watching. Good night and be safe, Marianas.